Evening, everyone. My name is Emily, and I'm from the Women in Dairy Project, which is run by RABDF, the Royal Association of British Dairy Farmers. Thank you all for joining us this evening. This is one in a series of webinars that we've been running through the COVID times on a variety of topics. So we've been running a monthly webinar for a while now. The session this evening, we've got Embracing Social Media, and we've very excited to have Sheena Hopper and Karen Holton joining us. I'll just do a couple of housekeeping things before we get going. Everyone is on mute, just so we don't have any background noise or anything distracting anybody. Feel free to turn your camera on or off, whatever you're comfortable with. We are recording the session and we will put it up online afterwards so that anyone who hasn't been able to join us will be able to view it, and of course for you to re-watch if you want to. If you have any questions, if you put them all in the chat function, Sheena's just put a little hi to everybody in there. So if you put any questions as we go through in that chat function, and then we'll go through all of those at the end, and we can just keep an eye out for any questions as they come in. Anything else that I need to say? Not that I can think of. I've got a couple of things to talk about at the very end, but I'll save those for later. So if everybody's happy, Sheena, Karen, I will pass over to you. Thank you very much.
Super, thank you for the introduction. Thanks, Emily. And so my name is Sheena Hopper, and I'm really excited to be on tonight to talk to everybody about social media and how we can use it and what to do, what not to do. And I'm delighted to be here with Karen as well. So we kick off tonight. I'll just talk a little bit about my background, and then I'll introduce Karen. So I'm Irish, obviously, you know by my accent. I am from a dairy farm. I grew up in a dairy farm here in Ireland. My first degree is an equine degree. Actually, I did that over in Rishall College, an ag college over in Essex. I have a master's in digital marketing and basically 20 years experience working in the agri sector for various different animal health and nutrition companies. And for the last 8 years, I've been running my own marketing consultancy. I have spent a couple of years in New Zealand. My kids were born over there. And when I worked for MSD Animal Health over there, I had a collaboration with Dairy Women's Network, which is a similar group to you guys. And I really enjoyed the partnership. I made some really good friends. And yeah, so I guess it's you guys here in the UK. So I'm delighted to be a part of Women in Dairy. And I suppose the link and how I got to meet Karen was through Boehringer Ingelheim. They have developed a platform called Calf Matters, and Karen and Boehringer did some work at Dairy Tech last year, and that's where I bumped into Karen. So Karen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Good evening. I'm a dairy farmer from Cheshire, farm along with my husband, Tom. I was more in the corporate world up until 2009 when I came home to work. So I'd spent sort of 14 years as a director of a legal recruitment consultancy. I then came into this industry, which I absolutely love. And somehow, I don't know, I just really took to it. I haven't written this.
Yeah, I should jump in here.
I'm going to crib this bit. So Sheena obviously sees me as passionate, which I will agree. I am extremely passionate about this industry. Fearless. That's probably might be I'm a little bit gobby. Hardworking, and that is really lovely, incredibly smart. So I'm definitely going to use that somewhere else. And I'm really, really proud that in 2020 I won the Women in Dairy Woman of the Year. So that will be probably one of my best achievements to date.
Yeah, along with many other awards. So our presentation this evening is me sort of introducing some concepts, and then Karen's going to dip in and out for her take on things, because obviously she's got first-hand experience from using social media on the farm. So what I'm going to cover tonight is, I suppose, the reason why you should be on social media. There's lots of different reasons. And I suppose how that links into the values that you have on your farm, how you could be an advocate for the industry. I do have one case study about something that went wrong that was able to be turned around. And then kind of dive into some of those worries or concerns that people might have about using social media, you know, the antis, the trolls, and some very simple do's and don'ts. You know, they really aren't to be something to be swayed to use social media. And then how to tell your story, and which channel to use and why, and then how to build your following. And Karen, as I said, is going to dip in and out with her story as we go out throughout the program, and I've lots of tips and tricks as we go through it. So the first thing we're going to do is dive into a poll. So we're going to test it out. And the first poll is, so which social media channel do you use most frequently? And you can pick more than one choice. Super. So I don't know, can you release the results, Emily? Or if not, I can call them out. I don't know if everybody can see them.
Right, I think everyone should be able to see that now. Can everyone see that?
Nod your head if you can. No, you can't.
Oh, hang on, bear with me. Can you see it now? There we
Yeah.
go. How do you press
Super.
the button?
No problem. Well, not too surprising, we have Facebook and Instagram leading the field. Facebook just is that sort of comforting channel, but there are so many problems with Facebook in terms of if you're trying to use it to, you know, get an audience on Facebook, it's a lot harder. But family and friends, it's much easier to stay in contact with. Instagram seems to be definitely the growing channel, and interesting, we've got YouTube and TikTok as well as starting up and running, and Twitter as well. So I will be talking a little bit about Instagram and Twitter, because I think they're probably the two that would give you most opportunity to use on your farm. So here's a couple of stats. I'm not going to dwell into what all these stats mean, but basically you've got 3 columns, which are Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I looked at various different ag media or, you know, accounts over the last 2 years and looked at how they've grown. And the green cells are the ones that have grown the most, over 50%. So you can see that the column that has the most green cells that have grown over 50% is Instagram. So within our industry, and this is similar to what's happening in Ireland as well, and some other European countries, Instagram is definitely a growing channel for sure. And taking a quick look at, I suppose, the wider scale of things, and this is a global stat looking at social media over the past year. So this is a stat from January 2021. So it's a whole year of, you know, the pandemic. And you can see that there's a 13% global increase of people using social media. So now there are even more people using it. There's more channels for sure, but everybody's using it for more reasons, I guess, to try and find out information, to connect more with family and friends, and to, I just use it more than in the past where they may not have been. And Karen, I put this lovely picture in here. It's it's a very, I really love this picture. And I'm just going to invite you in to just, do you have any first words on your use of social media on the farm?
Yeah, I've got to say, social media I was always very scared of in the early days because I'm terrible at spelling. And sometimes I will really speak from the heart before I think. So I had to really control myself quite a lot in the early days. It did catch me out once, which we'll talk about later on. But it's for our business, it's huge because we sell milk from the farm gate. So we've got a vending machine. We've got a couple of vending machines now, and it's been completely instrumental. That has what has built our business. And also now we have a milk round, and we have a micro dairy where we process our own milk. It's also been really fabulous for finding staff as well. You know, we've got a profile now that we're quite well known, especially in the area, and that's really what social media has done. So, you know, as scared as I was, and I always shied away from it for a long time, we wouldn't be where we are today without it.
Yeah, super. Thanks for that, Karen. So we're going to dive straight in. So for everybody that has a smart device to their hand, can I ask you, and it's probably going to be easier if we all use Twitter. Can you go in and just as a tester, I don't know how much or how little you guys actually use social media, but I've managed to do it while Emily was introducing or doing the admin things at the start. I managed to just put up a tweet myself. So why don't you just take a picture of the screen and put it up on Twitter. Just say you're joining a social media webinar tonight, and you can tag Women in Dairy, you can tag Halton Farms, and you can tag me. You don't have to tag me, but you can if you want, and hashtag Women in Ag. I'll just give you guys a chance to do that.
There's a few people, Sheena, that I'm seeing that don't have Twitter.
That's fine. So, I mean, if you're not on Instagram, put it on Instagram. If not, you can put it on Facebook. And if you're not comfortable with it, don't worry. Tell us how to do it again. So are we talking about Instagram or Twitter? Well, either way, probably the easiest way to do it is to just go into your camera function in your phone. And if you're on Insta, just hold your phone like this and take a picture, and then it gives you an option to share your image. And with Instagram, you can share it straight to your stories. Yeah. Okay. Can everybody give me a thumbs up when they've managed to do that? So Karen, you never used social media in the corporate world then? So it was brand new when you started on the farm, or were there others on the farm that sort of helped you get it up and running?
No, I didn't really. When I was in the corporate world, I didn't. And I think anything we did on that, we had a lady in an office in London that did that for us.
Okay.
So we didn't really have to get involved in that. When I was back then, we were still advertising for jobs in the Manchester Evening News or in the London Evening News. That's where we advertised at the time, mainly.
Yeah.
So when I came home, I suppose Jack my stepson got me into it first, and then we sort of had a couple of younger people on the team, and that's where it started. And it was Facebook, and I can use Facebook now quite happily. I do struggle a little bit with Insta. I love Twitter as well. I think Twitter's just a little bit more serious though. I think Facebook's fun. It can also, I think Facebook's good, and I find that really simple. I find Twitter a little bit more serious, and Instagram I think is great for younger people.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they are totally confident about getting the camera in front of them. So somebody mentioned there that they got their 12-year-old to help them. So, you know, if you have kids around, that's a great starting point to get you going.
Yeah.
Okay. So just kicking on because we're running through time. So the reason why you would want to get on social media, well, I suppose the first thing is, what you put out there is a representation of, what you're doing on your farm. So if you're, showcasing your farm, and it's something like this obviously isn't doing your farm any justice, but you could give a really good first impression on your farm based on what you put out on social media. So, I suppose why would you want to impress other people? But one example is if you're looking for some staff, or you're trying to do business, or you're running a professional business, what you're putting out in social media gives you an opportunity to showcase how professional you run your farm, and I suppose give a sense of what it would be like to work there. And I suppose I just wanted to touch on before we move any further, because people say, what do you put up on there? But I suppose you, as a business, or how you're running your farm, you'll have thought about what your brand or what your farm is all about. And I talked to Karen a little bit about this because I know her farm. You can kind of get a real sense of what the farm is about by just following them on social media. And I came up with a couple of farm values that you could have as if you're running your business. And then basically anything you put out there on social media or in the media, news, or anything like that, you need to just make sure that they follow your farm values. So it could be something like, we're running a first class farm, so you want to showcase the high standards that you're adhering to, the best practice in animal care, or leader in the field of calf health, integrity. And Karen, do you want to jump in there, because you were saying that was one of the most important values you have on your farm?
On the integrity.
Yeah. Or was it honesty? Yeah.
Honesty really is. And everything we do, because I always feel that we've got to be honest, because once this goes out there, it's for the world to see, and you kind of can't take it back. So if you're going to show a picture or make a statement, it's got to be real and it's got to be honest, because there will be somebody out there trying to catch you out if they don't believe you. And it's really easy to turn up at your farm gate as well. So, people can come and see where your farm is if they really want to. And I just feel if you're not honest and you get caught out, you've lost all your credibility. So just be honest about it. And if there's something you don't want people to see, then don't put it out there.
Yeah, you can control that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I am a bit of a control freak, so that's probably helps.
Yeah, I think the next one is another value you have in your farm, because you can just tell by everybody that works there and yourself that you're all really passionate about your animals and your farm and the business and whatnot. So, if that's something that the business stands behind, you can put that across on social media, and being friendly as well. So, I mean, you could be welcoming informally, going the extra mile for your staff and animals. And they're all little videos and clips that you can capture and showcase on your social media channels.
I think it's really important as well, sorry to jump in, that you involve the staff in the social media if they want to be involved. I think it's really key to do that and get them on board with that.
Yeah, it's another voice, isn't it? And also you'd need to get their permission, of course, if you were filming them and putting it up on your social media channel. But basically, I suppose the message that I'm trying to get across here is that a professionally run social media channel showcases that you're a professionally run farm. So again, who cares? So the new employees, that's the first place they're going to look to see what the farm is all about. Visitors to the farm, so the first thing people do is just look you up on social media, don't they? So they'll get a sense of what you do, who you'll meet, also your neighborhood and community. And I think this is a really important one, especially how ag and farms can kind of come into the spotlight, that if you're showcasing that you are looking after your animals, you do care, and you've got integrity, and you're running your business really professionally, I think that gives a really good statement. And then the other thing is your peers, obviously. And it also, is something that the aunties, they'll see that you're running a really professional run farm. The other thing is you could be an advocate for your industry, and there are so many young female farmers out there that are showcasing, I suppose, what it's like to live on a farm and look after animals, because some people idolize that, which I think is pretty cool. But Yeah, and I think the other thing, it gives the opportunity for people to showcase what the true picture of farming is. This is Ali Reader, and she is an advocate for mental health, and she's honestly telling what it's like to work on the farm. You're obviously caring for the animals, you're looking after the land, but it's hard. The seasons are hard, there are hardships, there's sacrifices in what you have to do, but it's a labor of love. You all love working on the farm, it's lifestyle, so it's kind of giving you the opportunity to share your story. And then there's obviously the commercial side of it, and Karen, I'll let you jump in here because you've really utilized Facebook to showcase this whole new area of your business.
Yeah, it's a huge part of our business. So this is our old milk shack. So as we've just built a new all singing, dancing milk shack, but as we started to do that, we did just keep putting things on, saying the new milk shack coming soon and what we're going to be selling. And it just got that sort of engagement from people, and it makes people go, wow, what's happening? And we've noticed the footfall on farm has really increased. Even before the new milk shack got going, people are coming, and it's reinvigorated the sales of it again, because there's so many new customers coming, because they want to see what we're doing. And once they get there and they taste milk, real milk, they get hooked, and then you've got them again. So it makes a massive difference.
Yeah, great. And I have this little video of Desmond, which I'll show you.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just play it first of all.
Come on. Oh, steady. Think, Handley. Watching. He'll be after you a milk, Handley.
So Karen, do you want to just tell the story behind that?
Yeah,
That's so sweet.
So this is Desmond, and Desmond was about 4 or 5 weeks premature, and he was in a really bad way. So like you take a lamb in the house and put it in the Arga, I put Desmond on the heated floor in the conservatory, and with a little rug on, and within a few hours this was Desmond stomping around the kitchen with the deerhound. That went just crazy, and I wanted to do that because I wanted people to see that we just don't let things die or leave them in a shed, and we care for things, and we do everything we can for, to make something live. And yeah, I'm not bothered, I'll have a calf in the house, it's great. And if it's going to make him live, I'll do it. I'd take him to the bedroom and put him in bed. If it was going to work, I'll do anything. But it went so viral, and it was kind of a little bit of a stay of execution for Desmond as well, because obviously Desmond is a blue calf, so he's a beef calf, but Desmond is still here, because I then said, look, I can't get rid of him now. He's a storm on social media, and if we go and chop his head off, somebody's going to ask me where Desmond is. So I've kept Desmond, and then a few months ago we do little updates on him, and he escaped with my other pet cow, Flirty. I'm a rubbish farmer, I tell you. I will never make any money. And straight away, people were messaging going, oh, I remember Desmond, I've seen Desmond, oh, you've still got him, that's fantastic. And it just puts that other spin, and it lets people know that, we do care, and we will keep animals, even the non-profitable ones sometimes. But he's always there for social media, and it's great. He's a lovely little prop.
Yeah, so there you go. You need a little mascot on your farm. Yeah, and I think Karen's done a wonderful job of just putting posts up, sharing little newsy bits, but doing them in a really interesting way. And this was just an award you guys had won, which was, nice little news bit, but you took a video of your cow. I'm not sure who that is, but she was just eating the grass there. It was a lovely little video. But something like that is just like a different way of sharing a little bit of news. So you can be really creative as well. So this brings us on to our second poll. Emily, if you're able to launch it there. So it's to get a sense from you how active you are on social media. So how many times a day do you dip into social media? And you can be completely honest here. Do you want to wrap that up, Emily? And I don't know, can you actually share the results, can you? Okay, so the most common answer there is 3 times a day. I think everybody's probably not being 100% honest there, because it's probably more than that. But, you know, it gives you an idea of what type or which social media channel to use. Because you could get away with, you know, using something like Instagram 3 times a day. If you're using social media more often, I would say Twitter, because you do need to be quite frequent on it to actually get traction. So yeah, that's interesting. It's on a farm tea time, isn't it? 3 times a day. Okay, and we'll move on. So another reason to go on social media is to attract the younger generation into farming, showcase the farm life, especially females. There's lots of opportunities, especially, you know, if you have a family and you've got a work-life balance. If you're doing it, why not, you know, give something back and showcase how good a lifestyle it is. But at the same time, be authentic. You know, it can't be all pretty and not mucky, obviously. You need to share it as it is. So yeah, so Karen obviously went from the corporate world to an award winner, Dairy Woman of the Year, which is amazing. And their social media channels, just to take a little look at that. So you're saying that the Milk Shack really took off on Facebook, and you've got over 5,000 followers on Facebook now, which is super. Yeah. And then you've got somebody helping you with Instagram.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm just really lucky that I have a lady living with me, a really good friend of mine. It's actually Tom's cousin that I've known for a long time. She happens to work for the BBC. So I've got a little bit of a secret weapon on that one, because I'm not great on Instagram, but she is. She's very good at Instagram. She's 15 years younger than me as well, so it's more up her street. So yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I do the other two, and she, you know, but yeah, Becky does Instagram.
And Karen, actually, I'll throw that question back to you. So how many times a day, if you do Facebook and Twitter, how often are you posting?
I might have a few days where I'm doing quite a lot of posting, or I'll be doing lots of likes and retweeting things. If I find something that I really like, and I find Dairy UK do a lot of great stuff about the benefit of milk, drinking milk and dairy, and getting children back into drinking milk. And that's what I'm really all about, is getting the younger people to get back into dairy. And so I'll pick that up and retweet it, or share it on Facebook. So I'm very much about that. I might then go a whole week and never touch it, because I'm really busy, and I find it can be a little bit of a time stealer if you're not too careful. I'll start on it, and then I'll answer a few questions if people are, you know, asking questions on it, and then I'll look at the clock and an hour's gone by. And sometimes I just can't spare that time. And you know, sometimes I'll do it. My calves are feeding in the morning at 4:30. I'll put them all on feeders. I might do a little video as they're all drinking, or, you know, and then I'll start looking at my Facebook and my Twitter and do a little bit then. You might find as well, I quite often post, and then I might delete it. And it's probably because it's 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And when I've put it up there, I've spelt a load of things wrong. So I have to delete it and do it again, or I've forgotten to tag somebody in. I'm really bad at that. I always forget to tag people.
Yeah, and actually that's what I was going to say, because you've obviously gained those followers organically, and that's a really hard thing to do. So one of my big suggestions is, in any given situation, tag a brand, tag a person, tag.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I did mention earlier in the presentation that Facebook, the algorithm is so tough. Like, you know, they're really, it's hard to get your posts to get any sort of reach, even if you have like 10,000 followers. But to get engagement of 10% is really good. You know, you're obviously got a huge mix of content, and particularly videos, even if they're just the little snappy ones. You know, people love to just scroll down and there's a video and you watch it, you kind of take it in. And then Instagram is a channel which obviously is growing as well, but it's much easier to get engagement. And so the stats what you're looking at when you're looking at social media, it isn't necessarily how many followers you're having, it's actually how much engagement you get with the people that are following you. So Instagram, I'm kind of leaning on if people are up for giving it a go. It's an easier channel to kind of grow and get your audience engaged with you. So on to our third poll. So Emily, if you wouldn't mind, if you're there to get it going. And the question is, what is the reason, or what are the reasons holding you back from being active on social media for your farm? And you can pick more than one option.
I think a lot of people, Sheena, have done all 3 questions.
Oh, I see that, yeah.
So if we have a look at the results.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see here people just, yeah, thank you for that. So no time. I get it. Yeah, you kind of nearly have to do it on the go. You can't just say, right, I need to do social media and sit down and do it. You just need to do it as you're doing the rest of your day. Do it on the fly. Because it can be time consuming if you're actually thinking that you need blocks of time to do it. Don't know what to put out there. So I think we've kind of shared, you can just, it's like micro blogging your day. You're basically sharing content of what it's like to live and work on a farm. Being afraid of the trolls or the antis, well, we're going to come to that now actually, and just give you some do's and don'ts. So I'll just stop the results and move on to that. So on to just a section on staying safe, and these are just a few suggestions, and it's going through like what not to share, what the trolls are trying to do, and then overcoming the antis. And I have mentioned children here, which I haven't talked about a little bit further on, but I suppose you just need to make a call on it as a family if you do have children, if you want them to be on your business account or even your personal account if you're using it. Some people decide not to, and again, you do get to choose what you put up and what you don't put up, so you can filter that out, as in not have your children in it. So I talked to a female farmer here in Ireland who had some experience with the antis, and I just had a really good chat with her. I kind of saw it all happen on social media during lockdown last year. It was all happening as in front of our eyes on social media. Her name is Paula Hines, and she only got into farming in, like less than 10 years ago. But she, like similar to Karen, was in the corporate world and took over, working on a farm. She got Farmer of the Year in 2017, and she didn't even know what a tweet was, when she started, but she slowly got into it and she became a mental health advocate. And she's got 3 daughters, and she's a real advocate now for, trying to encourage young females to get into farming, because her 3 girls are really active on the farm. They're brilliant. But last year, a situation came about where she was, when all the kids were kind of home at school, and she had a picture. Actually, there was 2 pictures that were taken on by the antis, which I'll get into. One was of her showing a calf, one of her daughters showing a calf, and then another one was of her daughter reading a book sitting beside the calf in the shed, like very innocent. She's quite active on social media, and she says she doesn't do anything for commercial gain. She just feels passionate about trying to get the right message about what it's like to work on a farm. And on her farm, welfare is paramount, and she names all her cows, like I think Karen does as well. So this was the first image that gave her some trouble. And basically the antis, this is her daughter Georgina, she was showing her at a show down in Cork, and they basically were trolling her, just giving her so much hassle about, her daughter, does she not know that these calves are going to be slaughtered and getting their necks slashed, and absolutely horrible. So that was quite a shocking experience for her, because I mean, you can see yourself, it's a very innocent picture taken at a show. And then this was the second image that caused her some hassle. It was when everybody was homeschooling, And here's her little daughter, like innocently enough, I probably did that myself when I was younger, reading, sitting beside the calves. And Pieta actually took it was a video, and they showcased it on their channel, and they were using it against what Paula was doing. And they actually took on the aunties, and they were able to pull the video down, and they took them head on. They were on Twitter and approached them, and it was quite a big viral. You may not have seen it in the UK, but it did sort of blow up. But they were brave enough to step up and take them on, and were successful in the end. And she said, look, I'm not going to let them pull down the good that I'm trying to do. And she continued on with, she says, I'm just trying to share good stories. And this was one of her elder daughters then, who stayed up all night and delivered twins. So, you know, I think it kind of came around in the end, and she stands very firm in, you know, how she dealt with it. But she has some learnings, and I did ask her, you know, what would you do now, or what would you share to some other female farmers? And she just said, so, and this is about trolls, so this kind of goes back to the original image that caused her some problems. So what do trolls want? So first of all, if they're commenting, they want you to react. So they're going to comment in a way that's going to pee you off, so you don't react, basically. They want other people to comment as well, so they'll put something controversial about what you've said, like that with the calves there, you know, saying about her daughter, does she not know, blah blah blah. They wanted to escalate, so they're probing people. They want more people to read, to comment, and they want it to go viral. And in many cases, they're paid to do it. So just be careful. If somebody comments, don't react, or don't, you know, my suggestion is to actually block them. So your do's and don'ts, don't react, bite your tongue for sure, because anything you put out there, once it's out there, yes, you can delete it, but it will have been read, so it can be seen. Block the person that's causing you hassle. And I suppose just be careful, be cautious about posting anything controversial. Count to 10, and then, as Paula showed me, be strong in your beliefs as well. Don't let them take you down or lower, I suppose, what you're trying to do by being on social media in the first place. And don't dig yourself a hole. So I'm sure, like, either yourself, or if you have a partner on the farm as well, they might get, you know, roiled up by a troll attacking your farm or what you're trying to do, but just hold back, don't react. And I suppose the most sensible thing to do is not to give them cause for reacting. And like anything to do with hunting, TB testing badgers, you know, that's something that's going to, they're going to be on that. Karen, do you want to talk about your video for a minute?
Yeah, sure. So, well, first of all, I'll just say I never had a clue that people do get paid. So when I found that out the other day when we were running through this, I was really quite surprised, but it does make sense. The other thing is I do block people. So when I start getting antis or vegans having a go at me, I will block them, and quite often I'll report them to Facebook or Twitter, whoever, because at the end of the day, it is like a hate crime when they're picking on you. They are picking on you. And if they're saying something that I don't think is true, then yeah, I will report them, because you would do if it was anybody else. I actually did get caught out really, really badly a few years ago now. And I'm not going to tell you exactly everything, because if you all go and search it and find it, it'll only make it very popular again. And that is what they're after. So the only good thing for me was what took the heat off me. It wasn't so good for the other lady, was the lady that was with me actually was a policewoman. And when they found out she was a policewoman, they just went for her. They were vile. She ended up having to have police protection. But in the meantime, they shared it everywhere. And it was a video of us basically telling them a bit of a get off my land thing, which I was very naive to it all then. And I didn't understand. And the way they sort of antagonized us, it was really quite horrible. It was nasty. And I fought back, and I did the wrong thing. And I realized how powerful it was. So that probably, it was a learning curve, and it's probably helped me going forward, not to actually take them on and give them a rise, because it is what they're looking for. And when they get that, it can be so damaging. It was so damaging for her. She nearly lost her job. She was very close to losing her job. As I said, she had to have police protection. It was very, very frightening. And it can damage your business and your reputation overnight. They've just got a way of putting that out there, and like you say, people get paid to follow it. People were actually from Australia phoning the desk sergeant to report the incident and give a statement, and they lived in Australia, they weren't even there. So that's, you know, within a few hours it had gone from Cheshire to somebody in Australia phoning the desk sergeant to put a report in about the incident.
Yeah, so you can see how things can easily escalate, but I don't want to dwell too much on the negative side, because there's so much great opportunities, and we've lots to talk about still in terms of, you know, how to grow your audience and whatnot. But it's just, I suppose, to be a little bit careful and conscious of what you put out there, that you're not going to get yourself in a tizzy. So which channels to use? I am going to talk and focus a little bit more on Instagram and Twitter. But I suppose in general, if you are trying to build a following, there are some rules of thumb. We have covered some of them already, and I suppose the algorithms of these social media channels are so clever. Being authentic, you know, if you are sharing genuine, real stories where people are engaged, then they're more likely to be engaged with your posts and like and comment on them. So posts that are liked and commented on are more likely to get a bigger reach, to get more followers. So it's a good rule of thumb to start off with. Content is king, man, on social media, like particularly videos, which I talk about here. Yeah. You need to be posting regularly. And I know everybody's busy, but I suppose it's just taken a few seconds. You've seen a lovely moment where the calves are having a little run around in the shed, or, you know, there's something funny that's happening in the farm. Just take that little second to put it up. And I suppose that's the beauty of Instagram, because they are those little captured moments that you don't have to be too staged or whatnot. Hashtags, and hashtags are particularly important in Instagram. Twitter, you know, I suppose you can put your hashtags in there for searching and quantifying some themes, like, you know, Team Dairy, those type of ones. But on Instagram, they really help you grow your audience, and you need to be including as much hashtags as you can. But what you can do is you can have a load of them saved so that you can just copy and paste them into your post, and it makes it a little bit easier to do. So frequency, we kind of talked a little bit about earlier. Instagram, you know, if you're doing it once, twice, or, you know, if there's days not past, as Karen said, you know, where you're just too busy. But I guess it's kind of like a new habit that you get into. Yes, everybody's busy, but if you get into the habit of doing it, then it'll be something that you can continue on. And that's why I've included the be committed one, because you need to be committed that you want to make it a success, and that's when you'll find those little moments of time where you will get the opportunity to do it. And being on social media, it's not all one way. You are trying to build those two-way connections, and Karen, you rightly said earlier on that you aren't just posting out, you're also liking and commenting on other people, because that's just the way a two-way conversation and relationship would work in real life. So you need to do that. And actually, the people that you know in real life, they're the ones you should really comment and like and connect with as well on social media, because engagement is key, and to get your following up as well. And Twitter, it's not that I dislike the channel. There are some people that use it very, very successfully, but I find unless you're on it all the time, you could be just tweeting and you're not being heard by all those millions of people on Twitter. So the algorithm in Twitter is that it will show on people's news feeds if your tweets are getting engagement, like likes and retweets and favorites, and what, you know, people spending time to read them. So that's why videos are really important, because we know that they get the most engagement. I suppose the next thing is how recent the tweet was posted, and as you know, in Twitter the newsfeed goes so fast, and that's why it's important actually to create lists in Twitter. So you can create lists of different groups of categories of, you know, tweets or following. So it could be like I've got one for dairy farmers, and I've got another one for marketing, and I've got another one for industry, and I just click into each of them, and it kind of slows down this just continuous flow of news feeds. Yeah, so you want to be putting stuff up that includes an image, includes a link, or, you know, you can check out when people are most active as well on Twitter. But onto Instagram, because there's a few new features that, you know, people can be like, oh my God, there's so many things. But the thing about Instagram is you need to be using their features in order for you to be growing a following on Instagram. That's why they have them there. If you're not using their features, then it's going to be slower. Okay, so there's Reels, there's Stories, which we're all familiar with. There's Instagram Live, which kind of took off last year in lockdown. And then there's IGTV. So I'll explain what they all mean. But my most important point I'm trying to get across here is that you need to be using them all. But like, don't be overwhelmed. If you get a few Reels up, a few IGTVs, and then be using Stories regularly, that'll be enough to get you going. Okay. So Instagram Reels, think TikTok videos, 15-second clips, okay? So you need to just get a couple of them up and running. Once you have a few, I'm sure a few more will come easy to you. And they do stay on the Instagram on your page forever. You create them in the app. So you can see here, there's this account here, Hazel Mullins. She's an Irish vet who's doing really well on Instagram. She's got a couple of Reels, and they're just literally a couple of second videos. You can edit them, and you can add like your tags, your emojis, your GIFs or whatever. And they're pushed out. So, you know, when you go into Instagram, there is an option to go and explore. So they come up in the feed. So they're another way for people to find you. The Instagram Stories is perfect for all those people that said they're too busy to do it, because you do them on the fly. You're kind of doing slight little, very unformalized snapshots, whether it's a picture or a very short video. Really good if you can actually show your face and get in front of the camera, because, you know, people like to actually engage with a person. And if they're good ones, or if they're ones that you want to kind of keep, you can save them in your highlights. Very quick and easy to do, and very much kind of along the lines of, you know, behind the scenes on the farm type thing. This is another one from Hazel Mullins, and she has got, you know, she's out every morning early, and she always has her posh coffee, so she puts that up every morning. Then the Instagram feed itself is really important, because when somebody goes into your profile for the first time, it's the first thing they kind of scroll down and look at. So it's kind of like not a catalog, but it's showcasing your farm. And Karen's feed is beautiful, like really good quality images, and kind of gives a good broad view of all the aspects of your farm, from the business to the milk to, you know, the silage cutting and whatnot. You can put videos up there a minute long, and you can put up a couple of videos at the same, or images at the same time, which you can see here, which is another way of adding content to your site. And then Instagram IGTV, so that's basically longer videos. So you can put up, maybe if you want to do a little tour of your farm or something, I think that would be a really good idea. Karen, I know you've done long videos like that yourself, maybe not on Instagram, but that might be next thing for you to do.
Yeah, definitely. We are looking at doing some more of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pictures we have and a lot of videos and things. One thing we do which really helps is we have a WhatsApp group on the farm, which is called the Halton Farm Social Media. So all the staff or anybody that's on that group just takes pictures during the day as they're going around. If they see something they like, they'll take a picture and put it on the group, and then I can sort of decide if it's something I want to use.
Yeah, super. Sorry, I was reading questions as they were coming through, but I will come to the questions at the end. So the Instagram Live, as I said, it kind of took off last year, but there's some slight changes Instagram have made to it's only live when you're actually doing it. So another way, when you go onto Instagram and on the top of the stories, you can just see the live ones. So, you know, it's a really good way if you want to have a little chat, Karen, and you and I should do one day.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so after the video is done, because I've done a few of these with a client, and at the end sometimes the videos just disappear, but now they have an option that you can actually share to IGTV, which, you know, obviously it'll stay there forever. You can download the video, or you can, you know, share it on another channel, which is great. I suppose the other thing is just poor content is poor reach. Not saying, you know, think too much about what you're putting out, but think quality over quantity. And yeah, so another good thing that you could do is just be clever about your profile description. I know Karen's one is got all your awards up there, which is really good. It's, I suppose, less is more, but just you want to hit the nail on the head as to what your farm is about, including any links that you can. And I suppose it's kind of like a snapshot of your farm's elevator pitch. So I know actually a question had come in prior to the webinar, and it was, you know, how could you use social media to attract staff? And I suppose I've kind of captured most of what that's all about. So you're bringing to life what it's like to work on the farm, so people would come across your farm and go, God, I would think I'd really like to work for Karen. They can see it's a professionally run farm. They get the sense that it's a fun place to work. There's a really good team spirit. And I'm sure there'll be lots of people actually hunting down your farm to work on it. And you can also post your job on Twitter and Instagram. And when you do that, I've got a very simple example. I mean, this is just a very, you know, template type image thing, but you could just put up out, you know, Progressive Dairy Farms looking for 2 full-time hands, opportunity to progress. And then you know, you could tag the university or anything that you think might be relevant, and please retweet or tag. So that's asking people to share it, DM if you're interested. And somebody asked about hashtags. So hashtags are, you know, if you Twitter is slightly different to Instagram, but the examples that I've given here are as if it's on Twitter. So if somebody was looking for a job, they might search for job Dorset, for example, and it's just a filtering system within Twitter to allow you to search for those terms. And further down the line as well, you can actually, if you're using a specific branded hashtag or something on to do with your farm, you can actually count how many people have actually used your hashtag and whatnot. So there is a metrics behind it. But I suppose for you guys, the simplicity is that it just allows your tweet to be more searchable under those terms. And then for Instagram, it kind of takes that a little bit step further. So the more hashtags you include, the more search results you come under. So, and something like this, the other hashtags that you might want to include are dairy farm, UK. You're trying to think of other circles that you could be included with, and bring it as wide as you can, because the more circles you're in, the more search terms you'll come up with. And Karen, you've got a lot of humor on your social media channel, don't you? Do you want to talk about these 2 ones?
Yeah, thanks to my husband, making a fool of himself. On the left-hand side, that's soft pants. So that's where we wash all the cloths. We've got several washing machines in the motor room, and she often opens the sliding door and goes in. That is actually her emptying a washing machine. So we straight away, you have to get that and put that on, because that is just gold. So that was very popular. The other one is my husband at Easter, I think it was the year before last, doing the Easter milk giver video. So he gets all these really strange ideas of what we should do. And he made Grace and I do an egg hunt around the farm. And he was the Easter bunny. It was all so wrong and weird, but it gets so much traction and people love it. We get so many messages, mainly people like sort of saying, I feel really sorry for you, and you know, oh my God, how'd you cope? But on the whole, it's good and it's fun, and it does give that traction. People like it, you know, and even if they look at it and go, God, they're crazy, they've still looked at it and they've shared it, and we're getting talked about. Absolutely. Maybe for the wrong reason. Somebody's probably going to lock him up at some point, hopefully, but we'll make the most of it until they do.
Yeah, and I think the thing about it, Karen, is it humanizes your farm. Like, it's not all serious, because I know myself from following accounts, if you don't see the people behind what it's all about, it kind of, there's a disconnect with you and the actual account. So it's good to get the people in there. So kind of moving on to the end of our presentation here, but I suppose the starting place for people would be just, I know someone said earlier, I don't know what to post. So why not try the day in a life? And you can get so many different examples from, you know, farmers of the UK. I love following those actually. Another really good one is Ireland's farmers as well. And I'm not sure if it works the same in the UK, but in Ireland they actually follow for a week. But it gives you a really good idea of what types of things people might be interested in seeing. So that's a good one to try. And from a social media point of view, if you were taking it a little bit more serious, and you're wanting to sort of brand your images, you can use a very simple tool. So it's called Canva, and you can get a free account and you can put your logo on it and you can do some really, really fun stuff. They've got really good examples and all their photos actually are really good on it too. So if you wanted to kind of take it a step up a level, definitely give Canva a go. But my sort of top tips are to give the lives a go, you know, do the stories, put up your best videos and photos, put your a really good description, and just be a little bit careful about what you post, but definitely go for it. I mean, Karen, do you want to wrap up by your sort of finishing comments?
Yeah, I just always say, don't be scared, just be professional. Try not to be too emotional about it. And yeah, just be professional. Don't be too personal sometimes. And I'm always just very conscious, because I do it for our business and for our milk shack where we want the general public to come on farm. I'm always very careful that when we're following people or as people are making comments that are a bit derogatory, I don't get myself involved. Or I'm dying to press the button and I'm dying to get, you know, to say my piece. But if it's really toxic, just move away. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
Super. And I'm just at the end here, so I'm opening it up to any questions. I was trying to ask the questions as I was going through, but it's kind of hard to talk and read at the same time. So I'll just have a quick look through to see if I've missed any. Emily, can you see if I've missed any?
I think there was one. Vicky was asking about hashtags, and then she also said, I've started a Facebook page for my farmers. I think my Facebook friends are getting fed up me posting too many calf pictures. I don't really get it, but I assume a page is public. I've invited all my Facebook friends. Is this how it gets it then gets more followers when their friends see it?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Facebook, there was quite a big algorithm change about 3 or 4 years ago. And it is harder to get a growing on a public page. You're right, it is a public page, because basically Facebook was giving more authority to pages that were paying for advertising. So you kind of nearly had to pay just to get your post seen, which is terrible. So you'll probably find that your personal page, you might get more traction. I know your friends might be tuned off. But I would encourage you to maybe try Instagram, because it may be one that you'll get a little bit more growth with, and it is attached to your page anyway. Because it is kind of hard. You can definitely get growth, but you need to be kind of actively using it and be fully committed and putting videos up and tagging everywhere. And if that's just like a little bit too much work, try giving Instagram a go.
Sheena, I've got a question. So
Yeah.
which you just hit on then. So you said that Instagram and Facebook are linked. So if you post, I know, for example, if we had a Women in Dairy Instagram, which we don't,
Yeah.
but obviously we need to get one. If we then link that to our Facebook page, everything that we post on Instagram, does that automatically go onto Facebook?
Not automatically. So there is a really good publishing tool within Facebook in the settings, you know, so you'd need to be doing it on your desktop, to be honest.
Okay.
And for someone like Women in Dairy, and you're scheduling out your post, there is an option that you can tick to share it on your Instagram.
Okay.
But I know when you're posting out your stories on Instagram, you can have the setting set up that it automatically shares on your Facebook stories.
Okay.
So it's really handy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to know. Right, we've got a couple of other questions.
So somebody can get training on Instagram. It baffles me. You know what? Just go on YouTube and just put in how to grow your following on Instagram and just take them in small chunks. Yeah, there's so much out there on YouTube that you could learn the whole system on YouTube. But I like, you can learn so much, but it's only when you go on and give it a go that you'll really get comfortable with it. So I'd say even from today to actually just give it a go. You can't do anything wrong. So yeah.
Has anyone got any more questions?
Can I just say to people as well, don't be worried about if you've posted some really good pictures and nice pictures. It's really surprising how people are so interested. And sometimes the lady who was saying that she posts loads of carbs and her friends kind of get a bit bored of it. Outside of her friends group, once you start reaching outside of that, people are really, really interested, and we kind of take for granted because we see this life and what we've got every day and what we do and work. So many people out there haven't got a clue, and they are so interested to see what we do.
Yeah,
it's just fabulous to share it.
And Karen, just on that one, do you think out of all your following then, so is it, do you think, just from the comments and whatnot, is it segmented that there are half people are into like, genuinely farming people, and then half are just totally, outside of the industry and just like enthralled?
I think more so on Facebook, there's more people outside of the industry. It's not as many farming people on Facebook. I think there's more farming people on my Twitter feeds, and Instagram, I think it's a bit of a mix.
Yeah,
there's a lot of younger people that follow us on Instagram. But I think Facebook, definitely, that's where I'm a bit more in sort of what I call the general public arena.
Yeah.
So yeah, which is the people I want to reach for the Milk Shack and for what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And someone just asked the question there. So is the answer to post more reels and IGTVs? So just think about it. You're going to get more reach and engagement, and it's going to help your algorithm if you're using the features that the channel has brought out. Like, think of when Facebook brought out Facebook Live first, and they completely prioritized anybody that was doing Facebook Live. So my suggestion is to get on, use the reels and the IGTVs. Exactly. Thanks, Gemma. Well, I've no more questions coming in. I'm happy to wrap up rather than keep you guys any later, because poor Karen is up at 4 a.m. in the morning and every morning. So this is way past your bedtime, Karen.
Yeah, absolutely. Nearly an hour past. That's really sad, but yeah.
Yeah, well, it was lovely to be on. Thank you for inviting me, Emily, and Karen. It was lovely chatting to you as always.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, everybody. It's been
Thank you,
really
everyone. Thanks so much, Karen and Sheena. I think that was really interesting. I think there's a lot to take in. If anyone's got any questions and stuff, feel free to drop me or Sheena an email. I'll send just a little thank you to everybody, and I'll send the link when this is up online as well. Before you all go, two quick things. Our next webinar will be the 29th of July. We've got Liz Haynes and also a guy I spoke to today called Richard Ferguson, who are going to talk about how we spend our time and being intentional with your time, and a bit about work-life balance. So that's going to be really interesting. And we're also launching the nominations for this year's Dairy Industry Woman of the Year Award. So somebody will be taking Karen's crown and taking the 2021 title. So that will be announced at the conference on the 22nd of September. Again, I'll put all this in an email to you. But if you think of anybody that you would like to nominate for the award, all the details will go up on the website tomorrow or early next week. And the nominations for that will close on the 16th of July. So yeah, just thank you everybody for joining us this evening. I know there's a lot of stuff to think about, but I think Karen and Sheena's points of don't be scared, be professional, give it a go, and just get out to share the amazing work that you're doing in the countryside and for the dairy industry. So thanks very much, everybody. If you've got any feedback or anything, please drop me an email, and hopefully we'll see you at the next one next month.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thanks. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.